So why, when a pregnant woman gets shot or killed, why is it a double homicide?
Because it wasn't her choice.
That literally makes no sense.
If she was trying to carry the child,
That literally makes no
well, if
sense.
she wanted to carry that child to a human being, then yes, it is
what?
double homicide.
That's a good question.
It's still, but it's still like a child.
If she wanted to bear the child,
So what? So what?
To
So
a
like
human.
If I think in my head about killing somebody, am I murdering them?
no.
Okay, no, right? So if it's not a life by your standard, how could it be murder?
If she was wanting to carry it,
hang on. Regardless of the intention of the mom, how in the world could it be murder just based on her intention? That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. Can you explain that to me, please? Like, use really small words.
if she was trying to carry that child to birth,
Yeah.
and that option was taken from her because she was murdered, and therefore it killed the baby, then that's a double
That's not a
homicide.
baby,
sure.
though, by your standard, right?
I guess it depends when she was, but again, it's a senseless murder, and if she wanted to carry it to full term, then it would have
But
been a
that's not
child.
a baby by your standards. Is that correct?
At what point? Like 6 weeks, like 4 weeks?
Whatever the point is where you think it's not a baby.
If she hadn't decided to have an abortion and she wanted to
Why
carry
does
that
her, what, her
child,
decision doesn't matter here?
we just have different opinions because I'm
No,
pro-choice.
there's no difference of opinion. We're just doing a logical consistency check.
What's the cutoff for you? When are you saying?
So woman, right, whether or not it is the case that she wants to have the abortion or not have the abortion, from your view, is that a baby or not a baby? Do we have like the Jeopardy theme song? I don't.
I just don't know how to answer your question, so.
Well, at what term do you think
hang
an
on,
abortion?
Hang on.
Even
What do you
if,
mean you don't know how to answer the question? Is the thing inside the woman's belly a baby or not?
so
Yes,
even
it
if
is.
she were murdered before what I consider to be a life of a child, which is, I think legally it's like 6 weeks, you can have an abortion if it's
Yeah.
up to 6 weeks. So even if she were murdered at the 3-week mark, the 4-week mark, if her plan was to carry that child and bear that child, then I do think, yes, that's the reason it's double
That
homicide.
doesn't make any sense. Is that child, from your view, an actual baby or not?
No, not before 6 weeks.
Then why would it be murder?
Because the senseless action, if that didn't
Yeah,
happen,
she
it would.
got murdered.
Yes,
She
but if
got
that didn't
murdered.
happen, she would have had a baby.
Yeah, okay, so you're making a case against abortion. If she hadn't had an abortion, she also would have had a baby, right? So she's a murderer by your logic.
Okay. Like I
That's
don't
your
know how to-
logic. Like that. So here's your logic. If it is the case that the woman intended to have the baby, she would have had the baby.
Should I have the opinion
Right?
that it shouldn't
But
be a
if
double?
It is the case that, hang on, but if it is the case that the woman aborts the child before it comes to term, then that's murder.
So-
And we know it's murder because if she's murdered with the baby in her womb, even if it's before when you consider it to be a baby, you consider that murder because the baby's not brought all the way to term. So no matter what, from your view, abortion would be murder.
So you think my stance should be that it shouldn't be considered a double homicide? That would be me aligning with my own stance.
Yeah, that would be at least the consistent stance.
Sure, that would be the consistent stance, but I just think there's more nuance to it. I think if it,
What's the nuance? Like, how do you intend something to be alive or not? It either is alive and it is the thing, or it's not. You don't
Yeah,
like.
I think we
I
just-
can't like. So like, could I be like, you killed the chair, because my intention is that the chair is alive. That's just that's not factual though, right? The chair isn't actually alive, so you can't murder the chair. From your view, this is not a baby, so how could the guy be charged for 2 homicides? That makes no sense.
I'll fix my stance and say that if it's after 6 weeks, then it should be a double homicide charge. If that makes you feel better about
Should
me
women
having
be
a
able to have
consistent.
abortions after 6 weeks?
You're asking if we should be able to have abortions past 6 weeks? No. So now I'm changing my stance from the double homicide that if it's prior to 6 weeks, if you want my
Right.
argument
so
to.
women should not be allowed to have abortions past 6 weeks.
That's a heavy debate. So
Well, no, it's just an internal, in this case, it's just consistency.
Well, it's heavily debated at what point, because a lot of women don't know until the 6-week mark, and then they don't have the time to make a choice. But I mean, I'm not a biologist.
When you do like a meta thing, when you give commentary about the status of something, it's kind of actually irrelevant to the question. So like if I go, how is the weather outside? And you go, well, that's heavily debated. It's like, I'm not asking,
well, I'm letting you know that I don't have a specific opinion.
Hang on, I'm not asking you what Jim, Paul, and Chuck think. I'm asking you what you think, right? So is it murder after 6 weeks or isn't it?
I don't necessarily have an opinion on that. I think there's discrepancies. Yeah, Brian didn't give his opinion on if he was pro-choice or pro-life. He said both sides had, or pro-life had, a lot of information that he agreed with as well. So, I mean, you can hold double.
Yeah, I understand that's Brian's position.
Okay, in my position.
But when you make a stance that you say something is murder, then you're giving us a value for life. So if that's the case, then you must think that there's value, that this is an actual life past 6 weeks at least, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so I mean, if that's the case, then you would at least have to admit that if a woman has an abortion after the 6-week mark, she is actually killing a baby.
Yes, I think there's scientific backing that life begins at around 6 weeks because of neurons or nerve endings or something like that. I'm not well versed.
Like consciousness or something like that.
Yeah,
I get it.
I'm just not well versed on this topic. I just listen to the scientists and think if that's the cutoff that they think is allowable and not extremely immoral, then so be it.
Well, scientists don't determine morality.
Yeah, I mean, it's just all opinions at the end of the day, but legally, it's the 6-week mark.
Yeah, so all scientific consensus is that life begins at conception. That's not refutable. That's a human life at conception. I promise. I'll tell you what. I'll make a deal with you right now. I bet you $100. If you look up right now scientific consensus of when human life begins, it will say at conception. I'll bet you right now if you think I'm wrong.
I believe you. I was just under the impression that was a religious sentiment.
No, that's the scientific consensus, is that it would have to be, right? That's when there's basically new DNA. That it would have to be categorized as human life. So that's when scientists, via consensus, think human life begins. Just saying.
So does that change your stance?
Not necessarily, because again, they have the 6-week benchmark for some reason. I think it's when the child at that point has more autonomy and ability than previously before, that makes it more lifelike. I don't know the science behind this. I'm not the one to argue this point.
Well, these are not scientific claims. Like the moral implications of abortion, those aren't questions that science can answer. They could maybe give us an idea of when consciousness begins or when life begins or things like that, but science isn't in the business of giving us any type of ought claims. They're just only interested in descriptors, really.
But no, that
this is how thing works, right? Like science could tell us how a nuclear bomb works, but couldn't tell us when we're supposed to use one.
Welcome, Andrew.
Silence.
Welcome. Good to see you, man. I'm going to let one chat come through, then we're going to get right into some really good stuff. Clane, thank you for the 200. Appreciate it.
$200. I will never jump into your DMs. I've tried to change a woman before.
Priscilla.
I can build a house, rebuild a car, cook, and fly jets. I also open doors and pay for nights out. I'm not taking on another project.
Yo, Clane, thank you for the TTS. I really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so, and Andrew, do you have what's your heart out for tonight? Or you want to just go?
Well, I started late. We'll just see how it goes.
Okay, sweet. We'll see how it goes. Since Andrew does have some limited time, though, there were 2 people on the panel who kind of wanted to, had perhaps specific notes for them. So there's other things we're going to get to a little later on in the show, but we're going to focus on those for now. I'm going to jump to you briefly because you wanted to specifically talk to Andrew, but then Jazz, you had some notes that were directed kind of at both me and Andrew. So
I won't remember mine off.
Okay.
By the way, to the panel, it's nice to meet you all. My name is Andrew Wilson.
Hi, Andrew. Hi, Andrew.
Likewise.
You look very well groomed tonight.
I was a little late. because I was catching up on my beauty sleep. As you can see, I definitely need more of that. So, but that's why I was a little late.
You
So I
look great. What are you talking about?
Agreed, but I could look even greater.
Hey, he shaved his beard.
Yeah, you shaved it up. You were looking
Shaved
a
the
little
beard.
rough last week on the debates.
Yeah, I was looking a little homeless. I agree.
I wish you were here. We would have had a shot together.
She brought tequila. So.
I know. I was looking for. I genuinely thought you were gonna be here. I was like, fuck.
You know, it's like vodka next time.
No, I brought Lala with no preservatives, additives.
All right. So, Julie, you said that. Let me see. Let me look at the
I
notes
mean, I
here.
would have drank it. I'm not going to lie.
I know you would have.
I would have had a shot. I'm not
You are low key a degen, just like I am, but not in like the extremity I am, but like in other ways, the gluttonous way.
I'm not a glutton.
So to drink to get drunk is gluttony.
I don't drink to get drunk. I drink in celebratory, usually in the purpose of celebration, or sometimes it'll be to calm my nerves or things like that. But
That's
I
gluttonous.
I don't actually seek out drinking to get drunk. At least not often. Maybe if I'm at like a friend's wedding or something like that, I'll be like, "Hey, we're gonna get wrecked tonight." On a special occasion or something like that, but those are pardonable sins.
I would argue because when you were here last, you're like, I need a shot. When like the male feminist is sitting right here, you're like, I need a shot, Brian. So like, no, you do need alcohol to cope. You need alcohol to cope. That's a form of gluttony. That's overindulging. So,
not gluttony.
but it's okay. I'm a degenerate too. So we're both in the same league. We're besties. We're kindred spirits. We're like
But
the same. We're one and the same.
Categorically wrong. So if I do you know what people used to say in the 1800s? Things.
No, I wasn't around at that time.
Yeah.
What did they say? Did you know? Were you there?
Well, I mean, you know that there's books from those times, right? I'm sure you've never.
Yeah,
read
but
one,
things have
there
been
are actually
things have
books.
been written and rewritten all throughout history.
Yeah, I know. But do you think that it's just one person who writes the book and nobody ever rewrote the book? that we
No
can trust
shit,
that
it was
person
not
wrote
one
the book?
person. Like what?
It wasn't just.
Do you
one
know
person?
them? Wait, can you? Okay, so what was your point? I'd love to hear it.
Yes, my point is that sometimes people would drink alcohol to do what they called fortifying themselves. So it could be for any number of different reasons. Sometimes it was especially helpful if you were working outside. It would take the tension off if you had a quick drink, or if you hadn't seen a friend for a long time, you'd have a nip with your friend. Things like this, but in order to relieve tension, or one way that men often greet each other is to say, "Hey, man, you want to go have a beer?" Do you think that the church would consider it sinful to go have a beer with your friend?
So what my statement was saying is that when you were sitting here with the male feminist, you were like, I need a drink for this. I wouldn't categorize that as having a drink with the boys or having a drink to combat like work life. That was you trying to compensate for.
How is that not combating work life?
So you wouldn't claim that you're an alcoholic slightly? I'm an alcoholic. At least, hey, at least.
I'm not an alcoholic.
Oh, I would argue the latter. We're both alcoholics. We're one and the same.
Anyway,
I'm just trying to. We're together in this.
Lady, stop filibustering me and listen.
What does that mean?
Alcoholics are dependent on alcohol to function.
You don't think you are?
Okay.
You had to
I go
function.
for- I
You had
go
to depend
for-
on it to
lady,
function with the male
lady,
feminist.
Stop spurging, lady.
You
I go
couldn't
for
even like
months.
deal with him sober.
Lady, stop spurting, lady. Let me finish what I'm saying.
Okay, you're right.
I literally go for months without having a drink. Months and months. I do it all the time. And
Okay, I didn't see it here.
So what? I had a drink in the studio?
I'm just,
oh my God.
I'm just arguing that
What a fucking
you
DJ.
partake in gluttony, so you
Yeah,
can't
well,
you
here,
can't come at
let
people
me-
you can't come
Yeah.
at people saying abortion is wrong when you literally
Here,
come,
let's try to- let's
hey
try to do
no you literally
Okay, go ahead.
come into the 7 sins, the deadly sins or whatever you pertain to the Bible. Yeah, light that cigarette, baby. I wish I had a joint with me. Fuck shit, we can get. Yes, honestly, I wish you were here. We can take a shot together, Andrew. Love you.
All right, let's get into the
Oh, no,
substance.
hang on. I'm not done, actually.
Oh, okay. All right, you want to?
Let's go, Andrew. Come on.
I'll sit here and try to calculate how many shots of alcohol I've ever taken if you tell us how many dicks you've had to suck. In your
Oh
life.
yeah, I love a dick in my mouth.
How many? How many?
I can't tell you how many have you had.
You don't remember, do you? Now,
Do you-
it's
do you
true, I don't
remember yours?
how many- I don't remember how many shots I've had in my life.
No, I'm not talking about
Do you
shots.
think if I say to a
How
woman,
many
I don't
vagina
remember
holes have
how
you
many
put your
shots
dick
I've had,
inside
that's the
of?
equivalent of saying to a
Wait,
man,
I have a question.
Hold on.
What is your
hold on.
body count, Andrew? I would love to know.
Please don't.
So anyway, again, real quick, I'm trying to dive into this.
Okay, let's go.
Is it the case that if I told a woman I don't remember how many shots I've had in my life, that she's going to respond to that the same way a man will respond if you say I don't remember how many dicks I've sucked in my life?
What is that? Wait, hold on. Say it again. That was like said really weird. I'm sorry.
Do you
I'm like,
think-
I'm neurodivergent slightly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, do you think that me telling a woman I don't remember how many shots I've taken in my life, that she would take that and respond to it a lot better than you telling a man you don't remember how many dicks you've sucked in your life?
Well, it's two different species of male and female. So
It's
like,
two different species, huh?
yeah, I agree
Male and female are two different species.
completely.
Well, you didn't think that one through, did you?
No, I didn't. But I've seen your
I'm
arguments.
100%
You,
positive
hey,
that males and
Andrew,
females are
you,
the same
hey,
species.
Andrew, you have argued that male and female are two different species. So don't ever,
I've never argued that males and females are two different species.
Oh shit! Okay, maybe I heard your argument wrong. Shit, I fucked it up. My bad.
Two different species? Genders. Like men and women are like dogs and humans? Like what are you?
Dogs and cats.
No, I've never made an argument that we're a different species because I'm not fucking stupid.
Oh, so you think women are stupid?
Not women, but one woman I'm talking to.
Oh, you think I'm stupid? Lovely.
Well, at least one woman.
So,
Why is
okay.
it- why pluralistic? Like if you say that woman over there is stupid, she's like, so you think all women are stupid? Does that even make sense?
I never proclaimed to be smart. Am I saying right now I'm the smartest bitch at this table? No. Like I've acknowledged I'm neurodivergent, so you're basically mocking my like lack of brain cells.
Neurodivergent means you have a lack of brain cells?
I have a lack of working brain cells, yes.
I agree.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
I'm glad you guys common
Thank you.
grounds there. That was
I love the common ground.
good. That was good.
Love you.
All right, we're gonna get into some substance here. So let's see here. We'll do a few from you, Julie. Then we'll come back to them later because I think we're gonna Jazz and Andrew are gonna square up a little bit. So okay. And Andrew, these are Julie's notes. We're going to try to move through these ones quickly so we can't linger too long on them. But Julie, you said staying in marriage for kids, women can't have sex when they don't love the other person. You can't. Men need sex. Furthermore, men will sacrifice everything for their family. Women are generally not capable of doing so despite trying. Do you want to elaborate on that a bit?
Sure. So obviously there's a bunch of tangents there, but I know I've listened to you before and you've spoken about people staying in marriages, right?